So today we're going to talk about the unconscious way men use women. We're going to give you 13 signs, common signs to explore and see if you've ever experienced any of this. So when we think about being used, we oftentimes think of being manipulated. But that's not really what happens in many cases. And while there's certainly plenty of men and women that do try to manipulate for their own gain, they have very selfish reasons why they're in the dating marketplace. I believe most human beings are rather unconscious to the way they approach dating today. This is true for men and women alike. And because of this unconscious reason, I think many women find themselves in an experience where they feel used when the relationship doesn't turn out to be what they hoped. And I think part of the problem is that roughly about 80%, and I am completely making up this percentage, but I would venture to say 80% of humans believe that intense chemistry equals relationship success. Let me repeat that. Intense chemistry equals relationship success. And what many humans have observed today, and while chemistry is certainly ignites the relationship, it takes a lot more for a relationship to be successful. You need to share the same values. Ideally, your lifestyles are blendable. And more importantly, both humans are emotional grown-ups and have good relationship skills to navigate the differences and challenges most human beings have with one another. But let's go back to this chemistry piece. So where this really gets tricky is when there's just a little bit of chemistry for one or both, okay? When there's just an inkling of chemistry, it's not off the charts, okay? See, oftentimes when men have a little bit of chemistry, they will pursue physical intimacy with the hopes that that physical intimacy might tip the scales. Well, I guess it would tip the scales into more feeling stronger about that person. Let me repeat that. When there's a little bit of chemistry and then there is physical intimacy, I think a lot of men on an unconscious level hope that that tips the scales into caring more about this person. And then what oftentimes happens for a lot of men, they experience what's known as post-nut clarity. I know you're not going to be very happy about this, ladies, but you may want to Google this. Post-nut clarity. Go on Reddit and you can study it. But basically, this is the experience that after a man ejaculates, he has more clarity about what he seeks in a relationship. Did you ever see the movie Something About Mary? There's a scene where Ben Stiller has a date with Cameron Diaz and his friend says, go into the bathroom and masturbate so you can have a clear head on the date. Well, there's actually some truth to that. When a man does ejaculate, he's probably more centered into what he's actually feeling for a person versus when he's on the hunt. See, many of you ladies have been indoctrinated to believe that men love the hunt and men love the chase. And when a man is chasing you, he is out to claim you. And all you have to do is just sit back in your feminine energy because he's going to do all the work. Okay. Well, you're making a gigantic assumption that that man genuinely wants a significant relationship when you're just leaning back, waiting to be claimed. And he's chasing you because he's chasing physical intimacy. So we have to operate, well, let me reframe that. I'm encouraging you to operate from a completely different perspective. And that is actually vetting this man to determine if you're compatible with one another. And if you don't know what vetting is, it's about being discerning. It's about asking those deeper, serious questions to determine if you're actually compatible with one another. Listen, this is what I teach in my private coaching. There's a link below to schedule a discovery call with me to see if working with a coach is right for you. Based on your personality, we write the questions that you should be asking to determine if a man is a fit for you. So let's go back into this unconscious way men approach the dating process, particularly men over 40. See, what makes over 40 a unique demographic is that roughly about 75% of people who are over 45 years old are most likely divorced. And when two people go through a divorce, there's an unraveling of the tapestry of a life that they had with another human being. And in many cases, men and women try to quickly fill that hole. You know that movie, Jerry Maguire, You Complete Me? Well, there's a hole for many people in their heart and they want to immediately fill it. This is why it's always a good idea that if you're dating someone who's divorced, that you might want to consider not dating someone who hasn't been divorced for a couple years and has had at least one or two transition girlfriends. Bum, bum, bum. Transition girlfriends. What's that, Jonathan? These are those short-lived relationships men and women experience. And I should say transitional boyfriend and girlfriend, because this is true for women as well. But this short-lived experience, or possibly something even longer, like a couple years, because that person entered into a relationship when they weren't ready to significantly commit to someone. So they had what's known as a placeholder relationship, also known as a transition relationship. But here's the unconscious thing men and women do is they oftentimes don't know if they're ready for a relationship, but they want companionship. They want connection. They want sex. They want the benefits of a relationship, but they aren't ready to fully commit. And this is where vetting is critically important, because here's what you have to vet for to determine if you're not going to be used. And again, in a few moments, I'll give you 13 common signs to pay attention to. Okay, so here's the thing. The desire a person has for a relationship exceeds their fears and wounding. Possibly they have an abandonment wound from childhood. Maybe they have a fear of enmeshment from childhood. This is where you may want to read the book Attached by Amir Levine and Rachel Heller. Oops, grabbed the wrong book. Attached, Amir Levine and Rachel Heller, so you can learn about avoidance and you can learn about anxious attachment styles. These are people that have an unconscious wound. They're usually not aware of it. It's an unconscious wound that blocks them to being secure in a relationship. See, many people operate from an insecure place in the dating marketplace in the way they attach to another human being. So you may want to read this book to understand the complexities of attachment style. And check out the links below. I have my Jonathan Recommend books, as well as my book, What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? A Journey of Personal Development, Self-Help, and Spiritual Work, link below, and Jonathan Recommend books. Okay, so their desire for relationship exceeds their fear or their wounding from childhood. It also exceeds their past hurts from past relationships. Believe it or not, many human beings experience micro, if not macro traumas from a divorce or a significant relationship that broke this person's heart. I would venture to say the average person today has had at least 3 significant relationships in their life, if they're in their 40s, 50s, or even 60s. And if they were hurt in the past and there was very little healing done from this hurt, or there was very little healing done for the abandonment or enmeshment wound a person experienced in childhood, then it makes it difficult for them to their desire to exceed their fear, their past hurts. Or there might be a misalignment with you and another person. They like you, but it's misaligned. Well, how could it look misaligned? Well, for example, someone who's an empty nester and they meet someone who's raising children. That might be a misalignment. Somebody who is a radical Republican meets someone who's a Democrat. They have attraction for one another, but there's a misalignment. Someone who's an atheist dating someone who goes to church 5 times a week, there's a misalignment there. And so these misalignments and differences, and it could be differences in lifestyles, it could be differences in hobbies, whatever those misalignments are. If those misalignments exceeds the desire, then oftentimes this unconscious block is what's going to happen in this relationship. And when that relationship ends, a woman oftentimes feels used. Now, I think it's critically important to understand, for right now, I'm going to talk about the 3 levels of commitment before we get into those common ways men use women. Okay, 3 levels of commitment include: level 1, Now, this is the basic level. This is the agreement to monogamy and exclusivity. Ladies, before the penis goes inside the vagina, I highly recommend that you get some level of agreement to monogamy and exclusivity in this dating dynamic. Make sure that you're very clear as to what your standards are and get as much clarity. Now, certainly, a person who's a user, a player, a scam artist, I mean, they can lie easily. But the average man is a good guy who doesn't lie. He might lie to himself, but he doesn't really lie. I know you might think that's the case. Certainly, you might have experienced that with those narcissistic men you've experienced because they do something known as gaslighting. By the way, there's narcissistic women out there as well. Okay? But the first level of commitment, this is where you want to get some clarity to monogamy and exclusivity. The second level of commitment is teamwork. Are you operating as a team with one another? Are you helping and supporting each other out? And it doesn't have to mean financial support. It just means, hey, sweetheart, I've got to go to the airport. Will you give me a ride? Hey, sweetheart, I'm running late. Do you mind stopping by the dry cleaner for me and picking up some dry cleaning? Hey, I'm running late. Do you mind stopping off at the grocery store and get XYZ? Whatever it is, you're operating as a team with one another. Maybe in your professional life, you're operating as a team. Maybe you're giving each other advice. When couples reach that second level of commitment, they're integrating into each other's lives. They're integrating into each other's lives as teammates with one another. See, sadly, I've noticed that the most common level of commitment is that first level of monogamy and exclusivity, but that's usually a casual relationship. There's a buffer, there's a distance. Person doesn't want to get too emotionally invested in a person because that might signify something more significant. And I know this gets rather frustrating. We're going to talk about that in a second. And the third level of commitment is all in. Burn the boats. I'm with this person. I'm going for it, whether it works out or not. It's that intentional approach of saying, you know what, we have differences with one another, but you know what? My desires for you outweigh my fears, my past hurts, my misalignment, and my doubts. My desire for you exceeds that. And when the person, and they've operated as a teammate with one another, these are couples where they're financially investing in each other. And what I mean to say is they operate as a team from a financial perspective. They have real grown-up conversations, and they're talking about a future with one another. So what are the common signs, these 13 common signs? Here, we're going to dive into that. In the early stages, he acts and express he wants a relationship, but his actions say otherwise. His actions say otherwise. This is usually in that hunt phase, that lust or limerence phase. I talked about this earlier in the video. When men are the hunt, they will seemingly act like they want relationship, but their actions eventually start to curtail. Again, this is usually after the physical intimacy phase. They don't call as much. They're not as affectionate as much. They're not as flirty as much. They're not as romantic as they used to be. And they usually tend to fade off fairly quickly. That's one of the most common ways women feel used. Now, another way a man might use a woman, another common experience, is when he makes excuses for spending time with you. Oh, I'm busy at work. Oh, I've got my kids. I'm busy at work. I've got my kids. I'm busy at work. I've got my kids. It's my family, my parents. I need this or that. Listen, when a man genuinely wants to be with you, he wants to spend time with you. He's not coming up with one excuse after another. And some men even turn this around and makes it your fault for the excuse. Believe it or not, some men could be rather sneaky when they're avoiding taking personal responsibility for their actions because they're on an unconscious level. They have this short-term mating strategy. They're not operating from a long-term perspective. When a man operates from a conscious long-term perspective, he's thinking 3 steps ahead. He's planning ahead. He doesn't need to make excuses. So if you've experienced that man that makes a lot of excuses, chances are you have felt used in that relationship. Now, here's one that you haven't heard before, or well, if you've watched my channel, you've heard it. But this is something rather interesting. I've observed this with men who will accelerate the relationship to the physical intimacy stage with a lot of promises, a lot of, um, you know, expectations. But then as soon as there's been physical intimacy for a little bit, he then says, let's take it slow. Let's take it slow. What that is code for is, I am happy to have physical intimacy with you, but I do not want to emotionally invest in this relationship. I do not want to emotionally invest in the relationship. He's slowing that down because he's going at it from an unconscious perspective. He's not thinking about your feelings at this point. He's protecting his own feelings. Let me repeat that. He's not thinking about your feelings. He's trying to protect his own feelings. And that's why he might say, let's take it slow. Now, another common thing men do on an unconscious level is he avoids sharing personal things about himself, particularly in the areas of his emotions. Men who avoid expressing their emotions, men who avoid talking about the relationship, are oftentimes on an unconscious level incapable of going further in the relationship. So this is how they unconsciously, I wonder if is it subconscious or unconscious? I probably should have titled this subconscious. It just occurs to me because when I came up with this, I was differentiating between a person who is conscious versus those who are unaware of their actions. Okay. But we'll go with this right now. Okay. Okay. So he avoids sharing personal things. Number 5, his conversations are relatively surface. How's your day going? Did you have a good day? I hope you had a good day. What's your day like? Tell me all about your day. See, a lot of couples don't really go much further into emotional intimacy because they're living their life in the moment, talking about their day. If you're not familiar with the book, Emotional Intimacy by Robert Masters, I highly recommend reading this book to get a sense of what true emotional intimacy is. Sadly, many couples rarely reach this deeper level of commitment. See, to reach that level, and I'm going to add some new layers to my commitment level layers. But one of the ways to build trust is to openly express your feelings about the relationship and openly express your fears and your differences so you can overcome them and come to a place of appreciation and trust for one another. And yet, sadly, when the conversations are rather surface, it's all about what you're doing in your day. And it's not about the relationship itself. It's not about genuinely how you feel about each other. Oftentimes, these relationships feel like you've gotten used. Now, here's another thing that I've noticed with some men. This is very few men, but they talk to other women constantly, but claims it's all friendly. Okay. When a man has a bevy of female friends, and not to suggest a man might not have 1 or 2 female friends, but if he's got a significant number of female friends, particularly on social media, and he talks to them constantly and he's not investing in your relationship, there's a good chance you're going to feel used from that. Number 7, he breaks up constantly with you and tries to get back together. Folks, we can all have a brain fart and might temporarily pull away, okay? But when someone genuinely breaks up with you and then wants to get back together and then breaks up with you and wants to get back together, there is a deep-seated issue that needs to be resolved, and chances are you're going to feel used from that relationship. Number 8, he's selfish in the bedroom. There are plenty of men that all they care about is their ejaculation, and they care very little about actually pleasing you. Now, most men have a gigantic ego, so they want to know that they pleased you, but they can be rather selfish in the bedroom. That's a good chance. And that's actually an unconscious thing a lot of men do. Number 9, he teases you by introducing you to family and friends. to people, and then he becomes flaky after that. This happens with some men that recognize, if I establish that you're a part of my life, they've quickly introduced you to family members before that second level of trust or second level of a commitment has been established. So be careful of those men that tease you by introducing you to family members very, very, very quickly. I'm not suggesting that if you've dated someone for 6 to 10 weeks, but they do it like on the second date, that could be a sign that you might get used. Here's one thing I've noticed with some men that have an active social media page, but they're physically intimate with you, but they won't post pictures of you. They're trying to keep the relationship a secret from people that they know publicly. That's a sign you might get used. Number 11, he wants money from you. That does occasionally happen. Some men do use women for money, so you have to be aware of that. Number 12, this is possibly the most common thing that happens. He uses you as his therapist. He uses you as his therapist. He shares his emotional problems with you, a placed event, not about your relationship, but you're thinking because he's sharing something emotional, you're bonding through his trauma, that you think you're actually building intimacy. That's not the case. He's actually using you as his therapist. And last but not least, number 13, he avoids any and all commitment conversations. Those are the most common things that women experience in the dating marketplace today. I'm sure you've experienced a couple of those. I've certainly, this is not singular to men. I've experienced women who operate the same way. See, the problem is very few couples actually reach a level of trust with one another. And trust isn't just about fidelity. Trust is this person have my best interest at heart? In other words, your best interest or my best interest or your best interest. And yet, sadly, many people don't ever reach that level. And it's one of the reasons why, on an unconscious level, women find themselves being used by men. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating with you? Please let me know if it is. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Post a comment below. I do my best to read all the comments within the first 24 hours. As always, if you find value in my videos, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new videos. And if you want to connect with me directly, there's links below to schedule a discovery call with me to see if working with a coach is right for you. You can join my group called Midlife Love Mastery. You can follow me on Instagram. You can get the books I recommend. You can get my dating vows all listed below. All right. Those who know my live format know it's time for Q&A. If you have a question, write the word question in the chat box, or you can purchase a super sticker, super chat. There's a little $sign in the chat box. All the monies from the super sticker, super chat goes to a scholarship fund in the name of my son, Connor Asley. That's a picture of him right there. It's my son who passed away almost 6 years ago. In his honor, we donate to causes like the Hoffman Process, Insight Institute, and scholarships to coaching as well. And so our goal tonight is $50. I'd appreciate some love to the Connor Asley Scholarship Fund. Also, if you want to ask a question to me directly, I just posted a link in the chat box to join me on StreamYard Live, and we can talk face-to-face right now and chat about anything you'd like. So hit that little button right there. All right, I noticed some people posted some questions earlier. Bear with me. Gretchen is in the house. So I'm getting to know a man who I knew from church a few years ago. He's going through a divorce, and it'll be final in January. He lives 3 hours away and visited past Sunday. What's your question, Gretchen? By the way, 3 hours away is problematic. I know you know him through church. He's going through a divorce. Chances are he's going through a lot, depending on what was the cause of the divorce. He is going to go through a lot of emotional turmoil. And what's going to end up happening is you're going to become his therapist, unbeknownst to you. This is the unconscious way men use women. So you might want to be very leery. If I were you, I'd make it he comes to you. But just remember, he might be coming to you for that physical intimacy. Oh my God, Gretchen, you're so amazing. You're so wonderful. We're so aligned with one another. This is going to be fantastic. Be careful of those men who are going through a divorce. They oftentimes are very broken and they need time to heal. But it'd be interesting to know what your question is, Gretchen, because you did not post a question. All right, Wanda's in the house. What would you call a guy that would cuss you out and accuse you of having 6 guys at your house and you are only listening to the TV and the radio just because he heard male voices? He's obviously unhinged. That's what I'd call him. I'd call him a man who is very unhinged, very jealous, very territorial. I would do what Forrest Gump did. Run, Forrest, run from someone who's accusatory like that. Oh my gosh, we have to give Debbie Mueller props. Mueller. $25 super sticker. I already know the drill. Oh, thank you for the love. We so appreciate that. Thank you so much, Debbie. You are such a loyal fan. I can't begin to tell you how much I appreciate you. McCoy Hill says, my guy is an hour away. Okay. Oh, Annika's in the house. Okay, let's see what she has to say. How long should we take between 3 levels of commitment? And should we have a conversation with that person before we go to the next level, or should this happen organically? Well, certainly monogamy and exclusivity is a conversation, okay? Certainly that. Now, teamwork, it depends on how you are both mutually investing into getting to know one another. Are you actively integrating each other in your lives? That usually happens organically. But it also depends on how frequently and how much time you're spending with one another. If you're only seeing each other once every 2 weeks, it's going to be very difficult to reach that team level. If your relationship is over the telephone because distance is involved, it's going to be very difficult to get to that level. But couples that spend on average 2 or 3 or 4 days and nights a week together, doing shared activities, hobbies, mutual interests, spending time with family and friends, traveling together, they reach that at an organic level. The all-in phase certainly requires knowing what, if they have a short-term mating strategy or a long-term mating strategy. I would want to know what their mating strategy is before the penis ever goes inside the vagina. I'd want to know what their intentions are long-term. I don't want anything serious. I just want things casual. I need to, let's take things slow. If a person doesn't have a goal in mind, then how do they know what they want? See, I'm a big proponent of people. What I've observed mostly, Annika, is most human beings want companionship. They want connection. They want physical intimacy, but they really are so afraid of commitment that their fears, their doubts, their pain from the past, their misalignments outweighs their desires. So you have to reach a level. You have to know that this person's desire for long-term commitment exceeds their pain, their hurts, their fears, the misalignment and doubts that they must have. So I'm going to say that having a real grown-up conversation before you're ever physically intimate should establish that you reach at least that first level of monogamy and exclusivity. And then naturally you should kind of blend into one another's lives as teammates. But then I would certainly say by the 6 month to a year mark, you should have some clarity as to where this relationship is going and what's the overall intent of this relationship. I'd want to know that person's intentions before physical intimacy, but certainly by the 6 month mark, the latest a year, I'd want to know their serious intentions. Okay. All right, Annika, thank you so much for that question. I appreciate it. Gretchen is back in the house. Yes, Jonathan, thank you. I made it clear to him that we were friends only. The question was, what would you recommend as far as how to proceed? I've been clear about friendship only. Let me go back to your original question. Now I forgot what your original question was. Oh, this is the one 3 hours away. So I'm getting to know that. So you're friends. Okay. You've established that. Then what you do is you do friendship things. You go to the coffee shop. Keep in mind, he has a 3 hour drive. So I would say you'd probably plan the entire day together. as friends. But I will guarantee, I would venture to say, unless he is completely enamored or smitten by you, if he's most likely just seeking female energy and female company, he'll get burnt out on the 3-hour drive fairly quickly. That's usually the case. 3 hours is a fucking long drive to just hang out with someone. So he might try physical intimacy. How should you proceed? You're doing the right thing. You've established your boundary. And then now you have to go see if then you have to have conversations about what's the purpose of this dynamic. But if you're just doing it from a friendship basis, be careful getting addicted to the telephone calls. How's your day going? Did you have a good day? I hope you had a good day. I'd really like to hear how your day is going. So be careful of that. Okay. All right. Let's keep going here. Bump, 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 bump. Let's keep going. If you have a question. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, here's the 4,000 weeks. Question. Dating a 50-year-old man since March who needs to date women for 9 months to commit. He's going through a divorce. He is still dating and sleeping with me and others. He's investing time. What should I do? Well, I guess you should ask yourself, what do you want? It sounds like you want this man. Okay. But it sounds like he wants to play the field. So you have to decide what it is you want for your life. And does this person fit into what you want? If he doesn't fit into what you want, then should you invest this much time and effort? I highly doubt this man sees you as long-term potential. It's highly, highly doubtful. So Jonathan, you're saying I have a chance. Okay. See, this is where all of you folks do the Dumb and Dumber game. Did you guys ever see the movie Dumb and Dumber? There's a scene where Jim Carrey asks Holly, what's her name? I forgot the actress's name. Do I have a chance with you? And she says, 1 in a million. He goes, so you're saying I have a chance. See, if a man has clearly stated, he's already set a predetermined time in the future when he'll commit. That's an excuse, by the way. If he's dating you and sleeping with others, is he wearing a condom with everybody? That would be something I'd want to know. When basically he's saying, I am more than happy to be friends with benefits with you. What you should do is decide what it is you want and stick to your guns. Okay. 4,000 weeks. And I'm sorry I had to give you that tough love information, but you needed to hear it. T says, excellent information. Love all these points. Lessons finally learned later in life. Isn't that kind of funny how we learn this shit later in life? Sharon 77777 says the 4,000 weeks. Why waste your time being used? Exactly. You know, it's so funny, ladies. I'm going to be candid with you. During COVID, I was hooking up with a woman. We were hooking up. She thought we were dating. I was very clear. I don't want a relationship with you, but I'm happy to have physical intimacy with you. And she was driving to me. Okay. I'm not proud of it per se. I was very honest with this person, but in her mind, she made up a story because I asked her after about the 4th or 5th time we hung out. I go, what do you think we're doing? She goes, we're dating. I'm like, we're not dating. I call you every couple of weeks and say, do you want to hang out? And you say, yes. We have a couple drinks, we have sex, and then you leave. And you're like thinking this is dating? I was very clear and upfront. He's very clear and upfront. He's sleeping with other women, and he already has a predetermined time that he says he's going to commit, which is just bullshit. And you ladies are like this, hook, line, and sinker. You buy this bullshit, and then you wonder, then you complain at men for being used. I'm like, look, you can't blame men for your actions. You're aiding and abetting to this, okay? All right. Sorry, I'm just giving you some tough love. Lady Arlene says, question, can you talk about limerence? Okay, limerence is extreme infatuation. This is usually when a man sees a woman who he's incredibly attracted to, or he's attracted to this woman's life. He's very physically attracted to her, and he thinks he he puts her up on a pedestal. Okay. Limerence means extreme infatuation. It's usually when a man, I've done this. Oh my God, I can't tell you how many times I put women up on a pedestal. Fuck. I don't know why I do it. Because I sometimes don't feel my own self-worth. And because of that, I've had circumstances where I put women up on a pedestal. That's basically what limerence is. It's not to suggest that we shouldn't value another human being. It's certainly healthy to value someone else so long as you value yourself. But when you're extremely infatuated with someone, particularly someone you barely know, okay, this is usually someone you barely know, or it's someone you know, but you've created a fantasy. Women do the same thing too. That, like, this woman who thought we were dating, she created a fantasy out of our dynamic together. And I'm like, you're delusional. I didn't say that to her. I was thinking that. So that's usually what limerence is. Okay, Lady Arlene, I hope that helps. If it does, give us some love to the Connor Asley Scholarship Fund. Hit that little $sign. Our goal, we've got $25 more to go tonight, okay? Joe Daisy's in the house. Question 1, Jonathan, what do you think about spiritual relationships such as twin souls, soulmates, and the one you can feel their synergistic energy? So, you know, I have mixed feelings about twin flames. And my mixed feelings is, I have a belief that I do believe our souls come and experience life hundreds of thousands of times. I do believe that. I said hundreds of thousands. It could be on different worlds, different planets, worlds and planets are the same. It could be different incarnations. I'm not so certain that we don't have a multiverse here with multiple realities. So I do believe our souls, we travel with a soul tribe. I actually believe that. We have a soul tribe. A soulmate from a romantic perspective, and we have a soul tribe. I don't know how many are in the tribe. I'm going to guess roughly about 20 to 30 people are in your soul tribe. I do believe when we pass away, we hang out with our soul tribe, sharing our life experience with one another. So now, do I believe that when we are really energetically connected to another human being, is this our twin flame? Not sure I believe in twin flames, but I do believe in soul connections. You know, maybe it's because I'm a hopeful romantic. I'm a big fan of the movie Princess Bride. Does anyone remember Wesley and Buttercup? To Blave, True Love. I do, not that they were soulmates in the movie, but I do have a little bit of woo-woo in me that wants to believe that when souls see each other, they recognize each other. Have you ever experienced that? You just had an instant connection with someone. I remember meeting a woman at a business, a woman's networking seminar, and within minutes, we were like two best friends talking to one another. It was surreal. And it was non-romantic. I mean, we never dated or anything like that, but it was just surreal, that energy we had between us. And I oftentimes think that we were soulmates with one another. I have to stretch my back for a second. Okay. So anyways, Joe Daisy, that's my thoughts on that. Is just whether his peanut thing could be. Let's keep going here. Oh, the 4,000 weeks has responded. Thank you, Jonathan. He kept saying he sees us with a long-term potential and only sees us as he's full of shit. He's so full of shit. He doesn't sleep with other women and say, I see long-term with you. Trust me. That's just bullshit on his part. He's consciously using you and you're accepting it. And let's hopefully he's using a condom with the other women, which I highly doubt. Oh, you've just said the 4,000 weeks says, thank you for the tough love. I needed it. Happy to hear that. All right, let's keep going. Johika wants to remind us, self-respect play a long way. When you respect yourself, guys know that and appreciate that because it's not the norm. You can be desired from that point. I would, you know what, women who have self-respect but also women who have agreeable personalities, engaging personalities, but they have boundaries for themselves, I think are the most highly attracted to those of us men who are what's known as grower builders. If you're not familiar with my chart, the 3 types of people actively dating. Okay, this is not a fact, it's merely an opinion. There are the users. Those are the people that have short-term mating strategy. They are love bombers, they're players, they're entitled people. Then over here, there are the grower builders. That's roughly about 20% of the population. They seek long-term commitment. They have their act together. And most everybody are spenders. These are those unconscious people I was talking about earlier in the broadcast. They want companionship, connection, and sex. They're oftentimes dysfunctional in their lives. They have no direction. They put you as a placeholder in their life, which I think in the case of 4,000 Weeks, that's what he's doing. So those are my 3 types of people actively dating today. Let's keep going. Oh, I want to give Joe Daisy some props for the $5 super sticker. That means our goal for the night is $20 more. I'd appreciate $20 more of love. Rhonda's in the house. Jonathan, how do you remember all those movies? Thank you for sharing your knowledge and insight. So I have a habit of watching the same movies over and over and over and over again. I don't watch them all the way through, but it's kind of sometimes I watch the same movie over and over again. It's just my way of relaxing. It's a way of unplugging. It's a way of just unwinding. And by watching something I've seen, I don't have to pay attention to it. It's just something. And plus, I love, amongst some of my circle of friends, we love to recite movies to one another. So that's part of it. Maureen says, Jonathan, you look good in blue. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. 4,000 Weeks has just come back. Is he really just using me and full of shit? I should cut it off. I need to be strong. Thank you. I highly doubt he cares about your feelings. I think he only cares about his own feelings. While he might pretend to care about your feelings, I would suspect he's only cares about his trajectory and he's not being mindful of yours. That's just my supposition. Mika has just given us a $20 super sticker. Awesome discussion tonight. Thank you for your insights. I really appreciate that. And Jenny is just giving us a $2 super sticker. So guess what? Our goal now is $100 tonight. We have $47 more to go. All right. Tia says, I do the same thing with favorite movies and episode. So I've been watching, okay, but while I'm waiting for our next question, I've been watching How I Met Your Mother. I've been binge watching it. I have to be candid with you. I'm fascinated with this show. I have to find out who the wife ends up being at the end, or the mother, I should say, of his children. What's fascinating to me is this is a very promiscuous show, excluding the married couple. But I mean, Barney has slept with over 200 women. I would say Robin has slept with at least a dozen guys since I started watching the show. And certainly Ted has had at least 20, 30, 40, or 50 women in this show, in just the show alone. So I'm very fascinated I'm curious if the younger demographic is almost desensitized to sex because they've had sex with so many partners that it's no longer sacred anymore. And I would say this is one of the problems with dating today, is that we're desensitized because in some ways there's an expectation we're going to get used. So people are using one another unconsciously because they're afraid to get hurt. Their fears, their pains exceed their desire for commitment. Anyways, that's just an observation. I want to give Annika some props for the $5 super sticker. That means that means our goal is $42 left for the evening to get to our goal of 100. Wanda says they shoot themselves in the foot and wave red flags before the first week is out. Run, run, run. Thankfully, I have no feelings for them. Thank you for sharing that. Roller Girl just gave us a $2 super sticker. That means our goal tonight is $40. $40 to get to that $100 mark. And that's for Connor, so I appreciate that. Thank you so much. By the way, does anyone want to join the hot seat? I just posted a link right there. It'd be great if you wanted to join the hot seat. Okay, 4,000 Weeks is back, and she says, he seems genuinely caring, is honest about his trust issues and sleeping with other women as a way to feel more secure. He said, the more I require commitment from people, the less people will want to give. Wow, he's really gaslighting you. Look at how honest I'm being. I am going to be so honest with you. I'm going to tell you about my trust issues. But he's not doing anything to fucking fix it. All he's doing is ejaculating in one woman after another. That's how he's solving his trust issues. And you're buying it. Hook, line, and sinker. I mean, I'm sorry. But ladies, every other woman knows this. You should be running from this guy. But I will bet $1 from the Connor Asley Scholarship Fund. I will donate $2, but I'll give you $1. I'm going to bet you are not going to break up with him in the next 7 days. I highly, highly doubt it. Because Jonathan, magic fairy dust can fall from the ceiling and change his mind. If I show him how wonderful his trust issues will evaporate into the sky, because that's what magic fairy dust does. It evaporates our pain, our suffering, our hurts. All right. We have a brave soul, Tia, joining us tonight.
Hi.
Hey. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine.
My air cleaner's on, but it's not too loud.
Okay. What you got for me?
Oh dear. I can't believe I just love you, by the way. I did what you said. Sort of.
What'd you do?
Well, I got a call from a man that I had dated.
Okay.
And he is 2 years older than me, so he's 52.
Okay.
And that was last end of September. We did the whole harvest moon watching. I think it was either August or September at the end.
Okay, so really quickly, where did you first meet him?
We first met because we both grew up in our hometown where we both live now.
Okay, well, let me rewind. How did you connect with him? Was it social media?
He asked me on a date.
How did he know? I'm trying to figure out, did you meet through social media, through a dating app? How did you meet?
Specifically, okay. Mutual friends.
Okay, mutual friends. He asked you out and you did the whole harvest moon thing. Is that right?
Yes, we did. It was
okay. So
really
how long did you date for that first go around?
We saw each other on a regular basis. It's hard to remember. It was like 2018. But we did see each other, no sex, never went anywhere, never even anything more than a hug. I would come to his house and we would watch whatever movie, and we would have Chinese food. And then
so you guys were friends. It wasn't a romantic relationship.
But he asked me out and we dated, and even after that, we still did the same thing. It didn't really progress. He never talked about his feelings or anything.
Okay.
Very quiet person.
Okay. So back in 2018, how long did this last?
Roughly probably 3 months.
Okay, 3 months.
Lost contact.
Okay, so you just started to like fade out. There was not as much communication.
And he had physical issues.
Okay. All right. So that was 2018. It sounds like you've reconnected with him 6 years later.
Yes.
How did you get reconnected with him?
He initiated a message by phone. We both had the same phone number, so.
Okay. And then he initiated a message, and what did the message say?
The message said, "It's the harvest moon tonight. I'm going to be on your side of town. I'll send smoke signals." Okay.
And did you meet up with them or anything?
Yes,
or did you respond? Okay, so you met up with them. And when was that? How long ago?
That was, I think it was the end of August. That was when that
end of August of last year. So 2022.
Yes.
Okay. or 2023, excuse me. Okay.
Yeah.
So did you begin spending time with each other?
Yes.
Okay. Are you still seeing each other?
We are seeing each other, but not, or I'm not staying there overnight. I have to go to him
Okay. You have
because
to go to him. How
he
far away does he live?
not far at all. 10-minute bike ride.
10-minute bike ride. Has the penis gone inside the vagina?
Yes, after 90 days of spending time together, doing mutual activities and meeting friends.
Okay. All right. So what's your question?
I feel like we're not compatible. We're just too different, even though
Okay.
we like the activities we do together.
Okay, so all right, so let's unpack this for everyone. So folks, what I'm doing right now with T is to unpack this relationship. So give me one example of differences between the two of you.
He's very quiet, and
you're loud?
I am a little.
Okay.
I mean, I have manners.
By the way, I just want to differentiate. Quiet,
like,
the opposite of quiet is loud, okay?
Okay.
So
yeah.
So is it that you're more expressive and he's not very expressive? Is that what's actually happening?
I'm more nice in general. He's not, he's a little closed off. He's different than
Okay.
other guys that I've dated in the past, as far as
Okay.
he likes guns and stuff, which I grew up with. My dad liked guns and was in the military, and that's great. But
So you haven't given me anything that's a deal breaker yet. So
okay, so my deal breaker, I'd just say number one thing is he's rigid and he corrects everybody.
okay, so he's kind of a grammar Nazi. Is that what he is?
No.
Or grammar police, excuse me if that offended anyone because I said
no. It's not
Okay,
even
so
the grammar. It's not even
okay, so it's not grammar. It's you've said the movie Princess Bride and you really meant The Notebook. Okay. Oh, you're so wrong. It's not that movie. That kind of correction.
Yeah, but more about like the projects and things that we do together and the way we cooperate and
Okay.
how I communicate. And I have had to heal, and I have sought validation in the past, so I feel abandoned easily.
You feel abandoned.
Yeah, when he gets impatient or something, even
Okay.
in a normal extent of impatience.
Okay.
I do, and I did voice that to him.
So is there any other deal breakers for you, or is this it?
Well, as far as my physical health, I have to go to his house, and there's a lot of renovations going on. He's very handy, even
So
though
he doesn't come to your house?
No, he's never come to my apartment.
And why is that?
He has a dog and a bunch of chickens, and
Okay.
he never gives excuses because I don't give him crap, because he doesn't drive and has to have he walks with a cane and home, but you know how when people go long distances, they can't walk long distances.
Sure.
So that's that, because he lost feeling.
How old is he again?
He's 52.
He sounds like he's 87.
Yeah.
Just so curious. Okay, so
he's paralyzed. One of his legs is paralyzed.
Oh, well, that's sad to hear.
And he's 250 pounds lighter now than he was in 2018. A lot. He did a lot.
Okay. So what is the outcome you want between the two of you?
I would like to focus more on myself, which I have. I have planned on talking to him and going out on the porch and saying, I know I've been distant. I haven't spent the night, and these are the reasons why. I have all these allergies, and he knows that. I get bronchitis easily, and I get sick. I've gotten sinusitis from spending the night before.
Okay.
Sorry.
So why do you think you've accepted this relationship for as long as you have? Why do you think you have?
I got caught up in my own love of him loving all the things that I love, and I live in an apartment, he lives in a house, and he has a dog, and he has the things I don't have as far as those things that
Feel like
there's
security.
rules. There's rules here. Like I can't have those things. And
What do you mean you
he
can't have those things?
like
What
I
does that
can't
mean?
have a dog, I can't have a
Oh,
cat.
okay, got it.
So it's easy for me to go over there because it would be
Okay.
more fun there. But
Okay.
I had voiced that I would like to have time with him by myself and that he could get a dog sitter. And that
Okay.
never happened. So that was kind of
Okay.
a deal breaker too. I feel kind of ignored.
Okay. Okay. So, but it sounds like the reason why you've accepted this relationship is you get something out of it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound like this relationship is progressing into any real deeper. I mean, have you agreed to monogamy and exclusivity with one another? Have you agreed to that? Do you call each other boyfriend and girlfriend?
No.
Okay. Do you guys go out in public together?
We have, yeah. We're going on
Okay.
dates, movies,
Okay.
mutual friend double date stuff.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's good. So, but you do, I mean, you're having regular sex together. Like
We were.
you were, but you're not
That's not
anymore.
happening anymore. I'm not going to spend the night. My physical health, and I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling that for him anymore.
Okay. Well, it sounds like sex isn't that important to him anyway.
It is.
It is important.
I'm just not over
So
that.
is he getting sex elsewhere?
No. No. We did talk about it before we started having sex. We talked about the physical parts of it, the testing, all that, and he hadn't dated anybody for a really long time, and I had gotten
Yeah.
out of a relationship the year before, but I had dated and had
Okay. Okay.
Came
So
several
are you
times.
gonna end this relationship?
I am really, that is where, okay, so I have gone there multiple times and visited, and with the intention of going there and saying what I need to say.
Oh, by the way,
But
Power Chi wants to know, was the sex bad?
no, it was really good.
Okay.
It
Okay.
was, it wasn't like, oh yeah, whatever, but of course,
Okay.
but
All right. Just curious.
no problem
Okay.
in
So
in
how are
that.
you how do you plan on ending this relationship?
Okay, so my plan has been all these times I've gone there is to, say kind of what I said to you, hey, this is, and be able to stay to where he, I don't want to be cut off completely because I feel like I still want to hang out with him, but I can't
Is
hang
that
in
fair to
there.
him?
I don't know, and that's what because
Well, what do you think? Do you think it's fair to him if you're not interested in long term with him? Is that fair to him?
I don't think that would be fair if he was interested in it, but I don't know if he is.
Well, then this is where you'd have to have a grown-up conversation to talk
Yes.
about the relationship, to talk about what's the purpose of this relationship. What the way you're describing each other to me is you're kind of friends. You're not even doing the benefits piece anymore. You just described to me friendship more than anything,
Mm.
because you're not building anything together. You're not developing the deep roots of trust that's going to sustain this. So let me ask you something. Do you want to keep doing this for the next 30 years of your life until you pass away?
No, that's
Do you
why
want to have a life partner
no.
in your life?
I do want to have a life partner, but I don't think I thought it could be him, and I was kind of swept away by all of the things that I really thought it would be him and kind of built it up. I think I did the limerence thing.
Yeah. So Karina says, does she think a friendship after a relationship will work, or is that fair to him?
Yeah, I don't
Um,
think that.
Jay Breezy says better to make a clean break sometimes. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I highly doubt you're going to do much. My guess is you're just going to continue doing this because you don't want to face this.
I'm
You
really
know,
afraid to talk to him.
yeah, because you guys aren't in a grown-up relationship. You're in a childlike relationship.
Exactly.
And that's
That
what
is exact.
children
And I was
do.
watching your videos, and you had said that before, and I was like, I bet that's what's happening here. We're both
Yeah.
being childlike.
Yeah, you're not being grown up here. You're not really being mindful of each other's feelings. You're just, to some degree, you're just using each other for company. That's it.
Thank you for validating. I thank you because I needed to hear that.
I mean, not to suggest, listen, you're both most likely have some deep childhood wounds and adult traumas that have gone unhealed in your life. And because of that, the choices you make are based on fear. Your choices are made based on pain. But your real capacity, either one of yours capacity to lean into true partnership is probably rather weak. So the fear, the past hurts, the misalignment, the doubts outweigh the desire for a relationship with one another. Usually that space in between is called drama, by the way, but it doesn't sound like you have drama other than you're frustrated with the fact that he corrects you at times. But my invitation for you is to do some inner works, do some healing, maybe take a break from seeing each other, and then, or at least have a conversation about what's the purpose of this, and then make a decision. But my invitation for you is to do the personal development, self-help, and spiritual work so you can find more inner peace within yourself.
And I saw that you had a lot, and I'm going to keep watching. You're catching up and watching the parts about that and getting the book.
Okay. All right.
I'm
well,
really
listen,
interested.
I appreciate you coming on, T.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Can I reach in the camera and give you a big, gigantic Jonathan Bear hug? Thanks so much for being on. I appreciate it.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
So T just gave us a little insight into a very common dynamic that I noticed today, and that is couples who are spending time each other. These are what I call spenders. They are placeholder relationships. The reason why they're called spenders is that they're spending time with each other, but they're not really developing anything deeper. And as she openly admitted, she's afraid to speak her truth. There are some obvious differences, but it sounds like he's hurting. She's got medical issues. He's got medical issues. They, to some degree, they kind of probably enjoy each other's company. Better. Some people operate. It's better to have some company than no company at all. I believe that tends to be codependent type of personalities that don't like being alone. I suspect that's partially what's happening in this dynamic. I would invite her to do some deep healing work. I would invite her to do somatic therapy. I would invite her to seek a therapist. Possibly if she wants to have something more substantial in the future, then she might want to end this relationship because that's what would be fair to him if she's not happy, and then do inner work for herself. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating? Please let me know if it is. Post a comment below. I'd like to hear your thoughts. As always, if you find value in my videos, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new videos. And if you want to connect with me directly, there's links below. Schedule a discovery call with me to see if working with a coach is right for you. Join my group called Midlife Love Mastery. This is a group where you can have direct access to me on a regular basis through a private Facebook page and a once a month webinar. Also, if you want to get the books I recommend listed below, follow me on Instagram, social media, and my dating vows all listed below. All right, I'm going to wrap up this video as I always do. First off, give myself a big, gigantic Jonathan Bear hug of self-love. I'm going to reach into the camera and give you a hug of love if that's okay. I'm going to ask you to turn to someone, a pet, a teddy bear, a pillow, and give it or them a hug of love, because hugs are a great source of love. And let's face it, we could all use more love in our lives. I want to thank Debbie and McCoy and Jay Breezy and everybody who donated tonight. The Body Electric, Health Plan, certainly T for being on, Annika, Power of Chi, the 4,000 weeks. Oh my God. I was watching the thread. Sweetheart, you are in La La Land. Okay. You're in La La Land right now because you're addicted, and you probably are going to get really, 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 really hurt. And then you're going to go, God, I could have done something about this way sooner. But guess what? What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So I suspect you have to learn the hard way, which oftentimes we do. And then what happens is the next guy pays the price for it worse because you've been hurt by this guy, and the next guy pays the price because you're not standing in your power today. And that's my recommendation for you. All right, everyone, I'm signing off this video as I always do, wishing you a super duper wonderful day. Be well. Thanks. Bye now.